Jalen Brunson is making another case to make All-Star this year. Last year, he should have been an All-Star, and in my opinion, he was snubbed. This year, he's putting up some All-Star-like numbers again, and it's likely that he's going to make his first All-Star campaign this year. But even though he's doing that, even though he's lighting up teams and lighting up the league and dropping 50 points on the Suns and all of these things, there's still going to be people, still going to be analysts around the league that still give him just a little bit of disrespect. And we recently found that out from ESPN Analyst Becky Hammon, who basically said that Jalen Brunson was too small. And because of that, he could really never lead his team to winning. We're going to break down exactly what she said and so much more today. So be sure you're subscribed to the channel and have notifications turned on so you don't miss a second of the new content. And now, let's get started. ESPN's Becky Hammon takes a shot at Jalen Brunson. So as I mentioned, Jalen Brunson, coming off of his best year as a New York Knicks last year, his first year, mind you, he is now in his second year as a New York Knick, and he is blowing out the water what he did last year. He's already doing things that we wanted to see him do last year early on. He looks more comfortable, more confident, and he's gelling well with this team. But even though he's doing that and putting up all-star-like numbers and breaking records, mind you, not only Knick records, but NBA records as well too, some people, at least with ESPN analyst Becky Hammon, she notes that even though this is the case, the New York Knicks are still not an elite team, and Jalen Brunson, even though he's good, he's still too small. Let's roll this clip so you can hear exactly what she said. Roll it.
Eastern Conference.
Well, I certainly agree with you. They're not getting into that tier. They don't have the manpower that they need to hang with those guys. I think you're going to get a consistent team like they've mentioned. They're going to be on their defensive game. But at the end of the day, they don't have a dude. You got to have a dude. You got to have a 1A dude. And they're missing that at the end of the day if we're just getting down to brass taxes. Sorry.
I didn't want to disagree with Becky today, but they do have their dude.
Who?
Jalen Brunson.
No, he's too small.
But here's the thing, and that's
Didn't they say about you?
But you know
they
what?
Say that about you. You're a Hall of Famer.
I got a philosophy. Can I say my philosophy?
Go ahead.
If your best player is small, you're not winning. John Stockton, Allen Iverson, Steve Nash, you could go down the list. Steph Curry is the only.
But he's not that small. He's not that small. He's like 6'3".
But also, though, I mean, he's the greatest shooter to ever walk the planet. He's in a different
outlier.
class.
Okay.
Do you see what I mean? They were breaking down the New York Knicks and talking about where they are in the Eastern Conference. And shout out to Becky Hammon. She really didn't say any lies. The New York Knicks are where they are, and because of the talent they have on the roster and the way they're constructed, they are not a top-tier team yet. But that doesn't mean that they can't become one if they add another piece. Everybody around the league knows, including you guys watching this video, you already know. The New York Knicks are one piece away, one superstar player away from being a legit contender in the NBA. We all know that. But we also know that Jalen Brunson is the best player on the New York Knicks roster right now. If you want to make an argument that is Julius Randle, fine, you can make that argument. But in my opinion, it is by far Jalen Brunson. Not only because of his play on the court, but because of his leadership on and off the court. That, for me, makes him one of the best Knicks we've ever seen. And for me, makes him one of the best Knicks on the current roster. Especially when you think about what he can give you on a night-to-night basis. And how he can calm down an offense. How he can break down a defense. He is methodical with his approach. And I love watching this man play basketball. And I love his footwork. But Becky Hammon took a little bit of a shot at him. Let's go ahead and see exactly what she said again. So as you can see, she stated that, nah, he too small when Kendrick Perkins said they do have that guy in terms of an A1 type of dude, like Becky Hammon calls him, in Jalen Brunson. But she didn't agree and said he's too small, and if your best player is small, you're not winning. You see, I have a little bit of an issue with that. She wasn't exactly wrong, because here's the thing. If you're playing playoff games, I think more often than not, if your best player is a small player on the court, then possibly you're likely not going to win each and every game. To an extent, I can understand that. However, to say if your smallest player is your best player, you're not going to win, I don't think that's true because she stated it. She mentioned the player that did it. She mentioned the one that already broke the mold, Steph Curry. I'm not saying Jalen Brunson, Steph Curry. Don't get me wrong. Don't jump off a cliff yet. Okay, I'm not saying that. Nor am I saying that Jalen Brunson will ever become Steph Curry. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is that it takes one. It only takes one player to do something before you can say, well, you know what? He did it, so maybe somebody else can. Before Steph Curry did it, nobody said anybody could do it. Nobody thought anybody who was the smallest player on the court, if they was your best player, that they could do that they could be that impactful, that they could mean so much to your team, that they could lend itself to winning on a night-to-night basis. And then when you get the playoffs, that it can make you win even more. There are only a few select players in NBA history that can even be able to say that they can do that. So Becky Hammon is not wrong with a lot of the things that she stated. However, that little bit of disrespect that she threw at the smaller players, or in this case, Jalen Brunson, I didn't like that. It didn't sway well with me. And here's the reason why. We already know that it's proven wrong. Smaller players that are your best players on your roster can still lead to winning. Although it only has been one player so far in Steph Curry, the fact of the matter is it has been done. And because it has been done, that shows it can be done. Is Jalen Brunson the number one option on the championship team right now? No. Is he a number two option? Absolutely. You want to know how I know that? Because a lot of people around the league were telling me Donovan Mitchell was a number two option. Guess who sent that man home time and time again? Our point guard, Jalen Brunson. So if Donovan Mitchell is a number two player on a championship team, then Jalen Brunson is absolutely on that tier. So he would also be a number two option on a championship team. And nobody's going to change my mind about that. I get it. If you have a lot of number two options on your team, you're not going to win. You're likely not going to win a lot of games in the postseason, and you're likely not going to be in the NBA Finals. We all know that. You need a legitimate number one player on your roster, complemented by other number twos and other number threes you have on your roster around that player, so that way you can compete at a high level. That's exactly what the New York Knicks need. I just didn't like the fact that she called Jalen Brunson too small, and because of that, he couldn't lead to winning. He can't be your best player and help a team win. I will never agree with that. Also, by the way, Jalen Brunson is still young. He is still ascending. He is still getting better. So he is here right now. Who's to say he can't become that player a few years down the road? Is it impossible? I don't think so. You want to know why? Because Jalen Brunson is doing things like this season. Jalen Brunson this season, 25.3 points per game, 5.9 assists per game, 3 3-pointers made per game, 45.8% from three this season. The first player with 25 points per game, 45 plus 3-point percentage on 5 plus 3-point attempts in a season since unanimous MVP Steph Curry. Oh, is that not enough? Here's another thing for you. The first player in NBA history with 50 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 5 steals, and 5 3-pointers made in a game. Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson is in year 2, and he's continuing to break records and look like one of the best Knicks we've ever seen. And he's in year 2. He's putting up these legendary numbers, all NBA type of numbers, being the first player in NBA history to drop these type of numbers. He's doing these type of things in his second season as the man, as the leader of his team on the New York Knicks in his second year. This is incredible. By far, he is having one of the best seasons of his entire career. He is leading this Knicks team, and he is helping this Knicks team win. He is making a case to be an all-star again this season. He was snubbed last year, and I'm telling you now, with the play he's doing this year, he is absolutely not going to be snubbed again. Jalen Brunson will make an all-star game this year. Mark my words on that. As we're recording this video, guys, Becky Hammon actually just sent out a social media response because she's getting so much backlash because of the comments she made about the New York Knicks and Jalen Brunson. Let's see exactly what she stated here. She states, "For the record, I love Jalen Brunson's game. He used to give us, the Spurs, work when he played with Dallas. I love when undersized players give the league buckets. He's got a great mind and feel for the game. Great mind, great feel. He was passed over in the first round and then got to the league and showed out. He's not a good NBA player. He's a great NBA player. Much respect. He's an all-star and will be an all-NBA performer. But I stand by my statement that I can't put him in a LeBron, Steph, Embiid type of A1 tier player yet. And that if your best player is the smallest player on the court, you probably won't win a championship. This game favors the tall. Wish it didn't, but it does. Hashtag calm down. Hashtag there are exceptions to the rule. Sincerely, a small basketball player." So essentially, she said Jalen Brunson was a great basketball player, had a great feel for the game, a great mind for the game, and that she loved the way he plays basketball, and that she loves that he gets buckets as an undersized player because she herself was an undersized player. So anytime she sees another player that's small, getting buckets and showing out in the league, she's going to give them compliments. But even though she said that, she doubled down on her comments and mentioned again that if your best player is your smallest player, you're probably not going to win a championship. Obviously, there are exceptions to the rule, Steph Curry being one of them. Did you note, though, that she stated that because of who he is, Jalen Brunson, she cannot put him in that category, that A1 category with Steph, LeBron, and Embiid? And I get that. I can understand that. However, let me say this. If you're just going based off of numbers and what the player is doing just this season, then I think you might be able to make the argument that Jalen Brunson is knocking on that 1A tier door right now. I already showed you the number, folks. I already showed you what Jalen Brunson is capable of and what he's doing for the Knicks this season. So because of all of that, I think it's absolutely fair to say that while he's not that A1 player yet, he is knocking on that door this season. And if he continues to progress in this manner, and he continues to get better each and every season and moves up and up and up, I absolutely think he will become that A1 player for the New York Knicks. And if the Knicks can get other A1 players to pair with him, that's going to make the Knicks better in the long run. And in my opinion, that's what the Knicks need to do. All we need is an example of one player doing it. And once you have that, that opens the door because that means another player can do it. And I showed you what Jalen Brunson is capable of. I showed you his numbers. He's putting up near Steph Curry-like numbers during his unanimous MVP-like season. Because of that, I think it's absolutely fair and clear to say, hey, Becky, Jalen's knocking on that door. And maybe in about a year's time, you're going to have to update this take and give him respect and give him props. Jalen Brunson is knocking on that door and he's coming. And you know what? Come this playoffs, I think he's going to show out and show you why he's here, why he's A1, and why you got to take him and the Knicks absolutely seriously. But what about you guys? What do you think about these comments made by Becky Hammon? Do you agree with all of them? Do you disagree? Let me know in the comments below, guys, because honestly, I would love to hear from you. But that's going to do it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, go ahead and smash that like button, leave a comment below. And of course, guys, please subscribe to the channel. Until next time, Knicks fans. Peace.